Hello, my name is Dr. Shambles, and in this video we'll be looking at two decklists from OP04 of the new Red Purple Law. So the reason I'm going to make a video of this is for two reasons. One, I am very surprised that this leader managed to get top one, first place actually, twice right now. I'm gonna show you two deck profiles. Twice when I said in my Red Purple Law strategy overview and in-depth guide, I'll leave the video in the description by the way. It's just a discussion about the strategy of Law and his strong points and weak points. And in that video I strongly advised that you should not play this deck in OP04 because it will be missing a lot of support. And last night actually, I came across the new. I came across this. I was looking through some deck lists, and I decided to just click on OP04 on the west, and the very first deck list was a Red Purple Law. So I decided, well, that kind of proves my point wrong. So it is possible to win in OP04 with Red Purple Law. So we'll be going over the deck lists and I'll try to see the strategy through. So in case you really want to try him in OP04, you can still do. Yeah, and the other reason is because I don't have much time right now because of college. So I believe this could be a short video just to keep some content coming out on my channel. I did get some subscribers. I was very surprised for that. I got, well, this is nothing to brag about, but I got 5 subscribers and I got some comments. I'll be actually going to talk about one specific comment, which was talking about playing Nami on this leader, and although I did answer him in this case in the comments, I decided I'll go through very quickly why you should not play Nami in the deck, not in OP04, and even worse in OP05 actually. So I'll go very quickly over that, and I'm very sorry I still am not uploading some matches. I really want to. I think that's the best way to kind of practice on my own and to show the strategies of both laws. Maybe I'll record them after this and then just upload them on other days. So worst case scenario, I'll be uploading those videos, those matches on the weekend, which is also something I want to talk about, which is thank you so much for subscribing. If you really want to keep up with the content, I will ask you to keep watch on the community tab on my channel. I'll be giving some feedback and some updates on future content, and in case you don't see me very active, the explanation will be probably there on the community tab. Thank you. So we'll go through the first deck list. This is actually one I haven't reacted yet. I haven't watched. I didn't know there was two. There were two. I thought there was only one. So let's go over the 4 Thomas, which is staple. 4 Renozoros. I believe this is the best ratio on the OP04. Using the 4 Zoros does cover up some of the missing searches. 1 Sanji 2k, this is for the early to mid game counter, so you don't take as much lives from early aggression. And I would like to point out that you should be using 1 Sanji instead of maybe 1 Red Beam. I've tried to change in my deck lists. I did mention that in my video, and I switched around a bit, and the Sanji, the 2k counters are the way to go. because the Dawn that you use for the events, it's like you will be needing it to build boards. So that 2k counter you'll probably be using in early to mid game, and if not, you'll be using more than one 2k counter card if you don't really need it on late game, but on late game you'll probably be using your blockers. So yeah, I believe the way to go is to play the counters instead of the red beam and maybe a point card, which is also something I mentioned in the video. So Otama, Zoro, you don't have the searches. I did talk about ratios. I said 3 was probably the most balanced, but right now you don't have search. So for Zoros, you should go for the aggression to compensate for that. One Sanji, I believe this is maybe for a search on your own life, since OP04 is a much more slowed meta. So you can use Sanji for that, but I do strongly believe this is here just for the 2k. For Brooks, now this is something I do not agree with. You do have to play the Brooks in OP04 if you really want to try this deck, yes, but on the next deck list, the one that I already reacted to, he actually plays 2, which is something I do agree much more. Although you do want to play the Brook, most of the time you prefer seeing the law, the event law. But again, I've talked about this in the decklist video on my strategy on OP05. You can play Brook if you're playing a slow strategy, and this works here because OP04 right now is a very slow strategy. Not very slow, but a slow strategy. And it's even slower because right now in OP04, Nami and Dandan are both banned, as well as the Whitebird leader. Whitebird leader is a direct counter for Law, and Nami and Dandan kill many red decks, which kinda also give a problem to this Law, not much, but yeah, it is kind of a problem, an indirect problem, so to speak. So you can play this because the meta right now is very much slower than the previous, so the OP04.5 meta right now is slowed, so playing 4 Brooks, I still disagree with this choice, but it is something to think about, and you do need to play him in the OP04. Not only because it's a slower meta, but because you don't have the searches, again, you don't have many staples that you will be getting in OP05, so Brook will fill that spot. The 4 event Trafalgar Law is the yeah, you need the 4 in the OP04, in the OP04, because your round table takes a lot of Dawn, and playing it and not building board at the same time, which is an advantage that this law gives, is that you deplete the power of a character so you can use your leader ability on that character, and you are building board to attack and make pressure next turn as well. So big advantage for that. I believe, I don't really remember, I do believe the next deck list will be playing 4 as well, and I do believe the 4 is the way to go. For Gordon, this is a stable even in OP05. You need him for the same reason of Law, but the only problem is you don't be building board, but that one Dawn is not much of a problem. The fact that you only use one Dawn and you'll be sending him to the bottom of the deck instead of sacrificing a Dawn. For example, you need to sacrifice another Dawn while attacking with Brook to deplete the power. With Gordon, especially right now, since the Nami and Dandan kinda are banned and kinda kill the red color, red has very much early board wiping with the events, and many other slower colors don't have that board wipe. So sometimes playing the Gordon and letting him stay on the board actually works fine in this meta, which is something I did not consider while talking in my deck list on the previous video. So yeah, something to take into account is that you'll be safer in this meta playing him in the board and leaving him there, so you don't have to spend that Dawn and have some more mobility in your deck. 2 Queen, I do not agree with the 2 Queen. You do need the Queen. Queen is a staple in both OP04 and OP05. I believe because Queen is one of your only searches, you need 3 of. 4 of may be excessive Even in OP05 I'm not playing 4 of, but 3 definitely needed. He does give that advantage of the draw and take away 1. So yeah, you do really need him at 3. I believe 3 is the perfect ratio in the deck. Now, I'm very sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. I do agree also. I don't think the other deck plays it, but it is a good consideration. It does give the Dawn once you play it and builds board. So this helps with your Beppo and Shashi and Penguin. They both regenerate Dawn also on play, and Beppo even on when attacking, and they build board. And this kind of has the same idea, the same strategy. Is you put it on the board to regenerate Dawn and building board, so you can make pressure next turn. 4 of, I think it's fine. But I think it would be better if he was playing 4 copies of Ain and the 3 of Queen, because I don't believe you'll be placing many on your board doing a match. Maybe 2. I believe 2 is the max. So the other 2 could be easy targets for a Queen, but for that you need a bigger ratio on Queen so you can see him and you can take the most advantage of his +2 discard 1. So yeah, that's something on the ratios that I would take into account if you're trying to use this deck list. Khalifa, same reason of Queen, 3 of, it's fine. The reason I would play 3 of Queen and maybe 2 of Khalifa, that's probably the ratio I would go for if I would be using more of this deck list strategy, is that because you won't be placing many times Khalifa on the board. When I tried her on OP05, I only placed her on the board of pure desperation because I didn't have searchers. Although something to take into account is OP04 doesn't have searchers as well, and that is why he wants to play the 3 Khalifa. For that search, I still believe having the 3 Queen and using the Queen for the search is better because he's a blocker and a 6k body while she is a 4k body. And to swing even to a leader to apply pressure, or in many mid-game characters, which is what she is. She's a mid-game play character, 4 Dawn to 5 Dawn, and 3 are kinda 3 is early to mid-game, and 4 and 5 is kinda mid-game. So Queen is 5, so he is from mid to late game, and I believe him being a blocker with the 6k body is much better, because being a 4k body on mid game, when mid game is where reds should be applying the most pressure in my opinion. Early too, but most mid, because red color falls off late game a lot. Thankfully, this law does have the purple strategy, which compensates a little bit. But still, when you have a dual color that uses red most of the time, you will be using a red strategy, which is a more aggressive strategy. Robin, same reason of Ain and the others, to regenerate on play, and she gives a +1 if you have much done, which is 6 or more. This will come across many times because, again, slower meta, slower strategies, that means you won't be using your ability as much, so you will build up that Dawn, and she is a good body, good mid to late game body, so yeah. Shashi and Penguin staple will be, just go over this. I mean, you do need 4 of them, 2k counter, and a very nice body that has incredible chemistry with the law leader effect. So yeah, just play 4. The blocker law, another 4 of, I believe you can play 3 in the PO5 meta, but in the slower meta, in the OP04, his ability you will come across his ability much more, because people will let their cards in hand much longer because of their slow strategy. They'll build up board slower, and this takes away that hand advantage much easier, and so you do need the 4 of. And he's a 1k counter, and he's a blocker. So yeah, pretty nice. Heat, I'm not gonna go over him. I don't know why he is here. So this is maybe because I don't understand this deck list a lot. You could be using these 4 slots for something else. Maybe it is to build early boards. Okay, I think I understand. The same with Zoro, which is to build early pressure. I believe this is hit strategy as well. He's a 3 cost body, 4k, but every time you return a Dawn, you... Oh, exactly. If you return a Dawn, he gets 2k power. That makes it a 6k body. So it's probably in case you need the early use of your effect. This will only maybe come across against Ace. Ace is the only red deck I believe it's alive in OP04. So this is probably why. And if you don't use it, you can use it as a 1k and for the effect of Queen to search. So the same way you'll be probably throwing away the Ain, the more Ain. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. You'll probably be throwing away your hit as well. So it's fine. Beppo, Staple, need 4 of. Builds bar, regenerates Dawn. Staple has great chemistry with your leader, so you need 4 of. Round table 2 is fine. Maybe I would argue for the 3rd round table. Try to find that space because right now you don't have Gamma Knife, and the round table is the only way to deploy stronger bodies on the field because mid to late game the 2k from Law and sometimes the 3k from Gordon are not enough. Gamma Knife depletes 5k, which is much more balanced and much better for mid to late game. And round table just kills any card and you can use it for the effect of Law anytime. The only problem with round table is the 4 cost, to be honest. So yeah, you do need to play it. On OP05 it's debatable. Many people are starting to dropping it because they believe 4 Gamma Knife is the way to go. And I also believe that. 3 to 4 Gamma Knife. Now, on to the next deck list. This will be probably faster because this is the strategy I tried in the OP04. I did try the Straw Hats, but I believe this one is stronger. And by the way, if I would to choose to use one of these deck lists to a locals or any tournament in OP04, this would be the one I would be choosing. Not only is this the closest you'll get to the OP05, so transitioning for the strategy of OP04 to OP05 will be much less of you adapting. You wouldn't have to adapt as much your strategy for OP05, and you kind of had that the mentality that you need, and pretty much the strategies in your head don't change as much. That's what I'm trying to say. So Otama, 4 of, staple effects, not gonna talk about it. 3 Zoros. This will come across has the... I talked about that. I do believe you need that 4th Zoro for the OP04 for the early pressure. He's playing 3. I still think it's fine. I would, although, take away this 3rd Sanji, play 2 Sanji and 4 Zoros. That would be probably the only change I would make in this deck, if I'm being honest. But the rest, very, I agree with all of this. But yeah, 3 Zoros is also fine. He doesn't want that much of early pressure, so it's okay. Again, OP04, slow strategy, so if he wants to play along with the meta, that's also fine. Sanji, I've talked about the situation of Sanji. 2k counters for early, mid game, and maybe spend more 2ks for the late game if you don't use him. Brook, this is the ratio I believe you should be playing Brook, which is the 2 Brook. If you play him, he's nice. If you see him early to mid game, nice, you can place him. But you won't be. Wouldn't play 4 because he's not the actual guy you want to see as much, because you are still red color, and red color still benefits a lot by accelerating a little bit of the game. So although Patrick T does go along with the meta, I believe that's the way he goes because of the 3 Zoros. He found a nice balance by not slowing as much and playing the 2 Brook. So I do agree with the 2 Brook. I would play 2 Brook as well. 4 Law, I believe in OP04 you need it, so gonna go over that. I already talked about it. Gordon as well. The ace is something I'm gonna talk about. The 3 ace. You can make the argument that I would make the argument that 2 ace would be fine, would be enough. Maybe 2 ace and 4 Zoros, and you would keep the counter, the 2k Sanji counter. But the 3 is nice. Again, slower meta, so you playing the ace is fine, the third ace is fine because of queen, which you can send the additional aces or 1 ace. I believe maybe you'll be playing 2 aces in this slower meta, so maybe send the extra ace, the third ace with the queen effect if the opportunity comes. So yeah, Jinbei, I believe this is for 2k counters as well. This guy's playing a lot of 2k counters. I believe it's because of what I said about using more than one card of 2k counter on late game. So he plays 4 to make sure he does have those additional 2k counters. And you'll probably be using the 4 Jinbei is probably because you'll be using it in the slower meta. So you can put him on the board in early game if you see him, to start depleting away characters. I would actually say that the strategy here with the 4 Jinbeis will be place him early if you see him early game. If you don't have better plays, obviously, but most of the time, if you play second, you'll probably be placing this Jinbei, and try to attack with him on rested enemy characters, because he's a 2k body. You have to swing with him with 3k to activate his ability, and you would be depleting the supposed rested character that you're attacking with him. So you would get great value out of that way of playing Jinbei, and then you would have the 2k. Queen, staple, he plays the 3, I've talked about it. I think the 3 is the perfect ratio. And yeah, going over Shashi and Penguin, Jen Bart, you should be playing Jen Bart. Slower meta. I think he found a great balance of contemplating the red kind of accelerating strategy with the more slowed meta strategy of the OP04 environment. So the Jin helps you build board, although it's a very slow card because you place it, you have to spend, you have to make sure you have the extra Dawn to get a to build up the Dawn regen. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. So he's a very slow card to play. I would make the argument of depleting him to 2, but I think 3 goes along fine. Again, you can use the queen to take away the extra one, and you can use it for 1k counter. For loss, talk about it. Beppo, 1 radical beam. You can think about it because it's OP04, so you'll probably have that Dawn, that extra Dawn that you can use on the opponent's turn. I would still make the argument maybe taking away for the 4th Sanji. I mean, might as well. You can think about it, but here doesn't hurt the deck. Again, this is because of the nature of OP04. I would take this out in OP05. I've actually tried it, and I can say the 2k counters are much better. And for finally, 4 round table. Comparing with the other deck list, this is, in my opinion, better. Because of the OP04, these 4 Dawn are much more expendable. Again, I haven't tried this deck list, but just going by logic and by theory, 3 to 4 round table is fine. And once again, Queen, this is why Queen is stable. I keep coming back to Queen because he is a staple. The 3 Queen can take away the round tables that you don't need, but you can use it in a lot of ways. Like if you don't want it, you can use it on a rested enemy character and just attack it, and the player, if the player uses a blocker to defend that character, that's the worst decision because you can just use the effect of law and take that away and you get the value anyways. But you can just place on a rested character, take the 10k, just swing on it, and maybe use for something. Maybe you can still use the effect for something else, but I don't know. Sometimes playing it simple, just play the round table, attack that character that got hit by the round table, and pass turn sometimes goes better than try to accelerate much of the game, especially because it's OP04. So yeah, now this video is getting very long. I went way too deep on their decks, but it's okay. Now I'll just shout out the comments. Let me just go look for the man that commented. Okay, I hope I'm going to pronounce him right, but it's Enjoy Swan. I'm probably putting an image in the video. And he asked me if you could play the Nami on OP05 since the ban list has been lifted. Yes, that's on OP04. On OP05 it's when you can play Nami again. You cannot play Nami right now. She's banned and she'll be banned till OP05 starts. Now, I would not advise you to play Nami even if she wasn't banned on the Red Purple Law. Nami here, although you could search Brook, Zoro, Sanji, and Jinbei, and Radical Beam here, for example, what would you take it away? I would not take away anything. Nami takes too much space for what she searches, and the Straw Hats, although here in OP04 decklist that we are seeing right now, are more prevalent and you do need them more in the OP05 meta. However, the Heart Pirates like Shashi, if you play Jane Barton in OP05, that's your decision. I did say he was a viable option. But yeah, the Laws and Beppos, the Heart Pirates are your core. And the Straw Hats are just there to kind of contemplate the strategy. So the Nami takes up too much space for the advantages that it gives you. So I strongly just say drop the Nami and play the event. When you're at sea, you fight pirates, because that event will search up anything except, for example, your aces in OP04, in OP05, and the queens. I think the rest, yeah, and the Gordons and Otamas. All right, so you can search pretty much these cards in OP05 because you do play the Gordon's ace, Otamas, and queens in OP05. You don't play. You don't play the round table, you play the Gamma Knife, and I don't know if you can search events, but even if you can search the Gamma Knife, you still get much more value by playing the event and play the Nami. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I know these videos still took long, I still went a little deep on their strategy. I tried to understand it while I was looking at it, although I have reviewed this one and I fully agree with this one. I talked about some changes here and there, but if people said, hey, go ahead and play with this deck, this is the only thing you can play, I would accept it. I fully agree with this deck list more than this one, although this one is still viable. When I was looking through, I started to understand the strategy behind it, but I still agree with this deck list a lot more. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much if you've subscribed. I will be leaving the in-depth guide on the Red Purple Law in the description, and once I make a video while making some matches with him, I will leave that same video on the description of that video as well. Thank you so much. If you have any criticism, anything to say, the video is so long, whatever, comment. I loved seeing. I only got 2 comments and I was extremely thrilled about it. So yeah, thank you so much and bye bye.